So, okay, The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn. It's sort of a soft reboot sequel to David Ayer's first movie. Was it David Ayer's movie or the studio's? But that's a discussion for another time. But yes, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. So the plot of The Suicide Squad is you've got Amanda Waller, played brilliantly again by Viola Davis. She sends Task Force X to a South American island, a fictional island called the Coto Maltese, to destroy evidence of a project called Starfish. You've got some of the characters from the first movie returning, so you've got Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag and Jai Courtney as Boomerang, as well as a load of new characters as well that we haven't seen in a live action movie anyway to date. And I was quite intrigued on how they were going to bring some of these characters to life, because some of them are quite fantastical and colourful and quirky, so I was very, very intrigued. And it was already quite a stark contrast between this movie in terms of the characters they were using to the first movie as well. So let's talk about some of the new characters. John Cena plays Peacemaker. Now, he was one of my favourite characters in the movie purely because of the layers and how edgy and dark the character was, as well as the fact that, you know, this character fights for liberty and he will do anything to protect liberty. But those methods are questionable, very questionable, and that for me made the character so interesting. Like, I've never read the comic, so I wasn't really familiar with the character, but I liked how John Cena brought this character to life as well. Delivers the humour brilliantly, I felt. And like I said, yeah, it had that sort of edginess to him as well, that darkness, which I thought he did a really good job with. Idris Elba as Bloodsport was great. And again, like all the other characters in this movie, Peacemaker, Ratcatcher 2, Idris Elba as Bloodsport, they all have these layers, and there's just a lot more to them than just being these bad guys sent on a mission to destroy evidence of Project Starfish. There's a lot more to them, and I think Idris Elba, John Cena, they all did a really good job at expressing and sort of showing those layers through their performance, as well as James Gunn with the writing and the story. Polkadot Man, who's played again brilliantly by a David, I can't pronounce his surname, it's something like Das Mashley. Oh, sorry, I'm not even going to attempt it, but the guy David who plays Polkadot Man was brilliant. He was one of those characters actually that really sort of stood out to me, and was like, I was very intrigued and curious on how they were going to bring Polkadot Man to life on the big screen, live action form. And I think down to brilliant casting, great writing, and just the way his character was brought to life and told within the story, just it worked. James Gunn and David, who portrays his character, nails it. He was brilliant, and again, like the other characters, has layers, emotional layers as well, and to a point where you do end up feeling emotionally invested with these characters. And Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, well, I've said this in previous reviews, and I've been quite vocal about how great and amazing that Margot Robbie is when it comes to portraying this character, and how she brings the character of Harley Quinn to life. She's just brilliant in this movie as usual. She's great as his character. I can't actually imagine anyone else playing this character at the moment. She nails it. And the chemistry between all the characters, the cast, is just amazing. And just going back to the layers again, I just think the way in which James Gunn really sort of explores and tells us the history behind these characters, and you know, the way in which James Gunn adds depth and layers to these characters, because these characters are a lot more than just being villains who are sent on a mission to destroy evidence and all of that. There's so much more to them, and it's because of the way in which James Gunn really brought to life and tells these characters' stories through visual storytelling, and just some simple shots and moments. Like there's this one beautiful moment with King Shark, and it's a very simple moment, but says so much about that character. The same goes for Ratcatcher 2 and Polkadot Man. They all got these really deep and emotional pasts and layers to them, to these characters, that allow us as viewers to really get emotionally attached to them, as well as sort of just really add to that immersive experience. Like as a result of this very smart storytelling by James Gunn, I was immersed into this world, and I felt for a lot of these characters, even Starro. And a lot of that is mainly just down to one simple line. Like, this is a spoiler-free review, but there's this one simple line in the third act, and it really made me feel sorry for Starro. You know, it's great that you just haven't got a character explaining why someone is like this. You know, why Polkadot Man is Polkadot Man. You haven't got someone just explain it to the audience. It was all done in a very smart and clever way through visual storytelling and sort of certain moments, certain scenes, and I loved that. And as a result, sort of the story, the pacing of this movie for me was brilliant. Like, it was very well paced, and the stakes are very high. Like, you don't know who's gonna die, you know, who's gonna get wasted next, and as a result of that, you're sort of at the edge of your seat at times, because you're like, it gets to a point where you do end up thinking, whoa, like, no one is safe in this movie. And right up until the end of the movie, the third act, you're still sort of at the edge of your seat, and you're like, oh my god, you know, oh my god, are they gonna go there? And I love that. Again, it sort of just really, again, adds to the immersion, and it just grounds the movie as well. I think James Gunn did a really good job at grounding this movie into a sense of realism, because there are a lot of fantastical elements there, and I think he does a really good job of bringing it down to earth at the same time, so it feels real, and we can, you know, at the same, allows us to be able to connect to what's going on. You know, the use of practical sets. There's a lot of practical sets in this movie that I really dug, and you've also got sort of the really deep themes, the underlying sort of themes right throughout this movie, and it's kind of like, in a way, I always refer to Star Wars when it comes to this. And that is, and I believe Mark Hamill said this himself as well, and for me, the Suicide Squad can be as deep as you want to make it, or as shallow as you want to make it. And for me, there were a lot of deep underlying themes, and whether that be down to sort of, you know, governments going into other countries and all of that, you know, if you want to go into the sort of the political side, and there was something a lot more to say, and there was a lot more going on in this movie, and it was up to you as an audience member, perhaps, if you really sort of wanted to look at it like that. And I just, again, adding a lot more layers to this movie, and as a result, making it feel just a lot more relevant, because it does reflect our world, and, you know, sadly, you know, it does. There was a, you know, the way he sort of, but the way it's done, it's under this fantastical element, and I just thought it was very, very well done and very well told. And the humour doesn't always work for me though, and it's only when the humour goes a little darker and edgier did I actually, you know, it's my kind of humour. Like, I like dark, edgy humour, and it's only when it goes a little bit edgier and darker did I really sort of laugh at a couple of moments in the movie. But there were also a couple of moments in which I felt the lines, the gags, just fell flat. So for me, overall, the humour didn't always work, but there were moments that you know, really amused me, and they are the darker, edgier moments. And it's not gory and violent for the sake of being gory and violent as well. It works within the story, and, you know, and it's because of the way in which this world was crafted and brought to life. It's not like, you know, it's not just bloody and gory for the sake of it. It all works. And this was 2 hours of just being immersed into a world, having a good time. It was so enjoyable, a very well made movie, and I ended up feeling emotions that I didn't expect to feel while watching this. Like, I knew, like, I mean, I liked what James Gunn did with his Marvel movies, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. I did. I felt like they were a breath of fresh air, an injection of just adrenaline that the Marvel Cinematic Universe needed. So I was very optimistic when James Gunn was coming on board, and I think the Suicide Squad was probably the perfect one for him to start off on, because I think he's gonna be doing like a few more as well. But for me, the Suicide Squad was an experience, and an experience is you get immersed into this world and you get lost for 2 hours, and you forget about the real world. And I was just, I was emotionally invested in the characters, and there were, like I said, there were deeper themes running throughout this movie, which I found really interesting, and I ended up reflecting on, because I felt like the movie had a lot of important things to say as well, and all of that was sort of there, but you had all this fantastical element around it, which was crafted so beautifully, and was just, it was just a joy to watch. Like, and you just, you ended up, well, I ended up feeling sorry for Starro as well. So, yes, a great experience. I highly recommend the Suicide Squad, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with future DC projects as well. But I'm also really looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's fun, it's loud, it's bonkers, with a big heart at its core. If you haven't seen the movie yet, please do. I highly recommend it, and I will be giving the Suicide Squad a 9 out of 10. So yeah, what do you guys think of the Suicide Squad? Let me know below and let's get a discussion going. Thank you for watching, I really do appreciate it, and if you want to follow a Welsh geek, just ramble on about everything, film, TV, and just everything geeky, then why not hit that subscribe button? It will mean a lot to me, and even a thumbs up. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will be seeing you soon.